Welcome back to the Kaspa Silver YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to give you guys some more insights into the Kaspa Industrial Initiative. If you want to get a general overview of this initiative, I did already make a video when they did launch their website, but recently Wolf Web3 hosted a X Space and they titled this the Kaspa Roundtable, and Kaspa Kai decided to join in on the space and spoke for a good bit of time. And there was a couple times where the audio may not come out as nicely, but you could make out a lot of what was said that I believe you guys will really enjoy. From what I could make out in the beginning, it did sound like the person speaking was Rory O'Neill, and this is just one of the board members of Kaspa Kai, but he did go into a lot of details into really why they started this initiative and why, out of like all the other cryptocurrencies in the market, they decided to choose Kaspa, which is very, very significant that they've chosen Kaspa, because he even goes into saying how they were analyzing cryptocurrencies for many years and they were not really finding anything that they really liked. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys listen in to Kaspa Kai here.
Kaspa Kai.
Hi guys, it's Rory here from the team. I was just happened to have picked up the X account and just saw you guys were live, so I thought I'd listen in. But what you guys were just talking about in terms of industries looking at different blockchains in the past and finding them not to be a correct fit is exactly where we've come from. We started a project late 2015, early 2016 in the energy sector, and we thought DLT technology would be really, really useful. And at the time, we invested more than $12 million in this particular project for energy transactions and reconciliations for cross-border trade. And the biggest issue we had at the time was there was quite a few, but we kept revisiting it many times over, and we discovered early last year Kaspa, and spent some time looking at it quietly in the background and how it could work. And we saw that there wasn't smart contracts or layer twos or anything like that available at the time, but we thought that the base technology in and of itself was super interesting. And we have a number of interesting projects that require a DLT solution at scale, and that's the key word, and the key word being scale. That we want to do, and because of the nature of these systems, and projects, they're quite global. We wanted to make sure that we had something that was completely decentralized, so that we could have censorship resistance, which is a very important aspect when you're trying to do something at a on a global basis, where you don't want individual governments or bad actors to interfere in the project. We don't want to have centralized control, again, because of the global nature of the transactions. And then scalability. In many cases, we struggled with the scalability. The energy sector is one of the most valuable sectors on the planet, and if you consider, just for emissions trading, for example, and the value of that market by 2030 is valued at $2 trillion a year. So, and the underlying assets themselves are extremely valuable. So where we came to is we launched an initiative for emissions trading last November as part of DII, the Desert Energy Network, and I'm on the board there, as is Paul Van Son, our chairman. And we were looking at building our own bespoke block DAG. And we finally just came to the conclusion that, well, let's just use Kaspa. It would assist us, immensely. But there was lots of other things, because energy underpins the entire platform. It's a proof of work, so it requires energy. Energy is a factor of the security. And for us, that's very, very important, because if we're thinking of tokenizing a green hydrogen facility that's worth $1.5 billion, we want to make sure that the underpinning security of that tokenization is absolutely immutable. And then if we're talking about transactions at scale across multiple different ecosystems, or a continuously traded market like electricity, where the balancing and rebalancing occurs every 15 minutes or so, we need to have the ability to scale. And similarly, if we go down to the domestic level where there's smart meters, those smart meters generate petabytes of data. Most of it is just excrement, but the bits that we do need to act on and transact on require a certain degree of scalability. So Kaspa fits the bill very, very nicely. So we have this network, the DII Desert Energy, and Paul Van Son, set that up 15 years ago. It's actually it was our 15th anniversary there a couple of months ago, and what we learned from that was we were able to take initially a whole bunch of German industrial companies, and at the time promote the concept of using renewable energy and energy from the deserts as a way of powering them in the future. And 15 years ago, the cost of solar was literally the most expensive source of energy on the planet. It was very niche, it was very difficult, it required huge amounts of government subsidy. And in that time, in that 15 years, we've now seen, and we've gone through several phases. So there was Desertec 1, Desertec 2, and now DII Desert Energy, which is phase 3. And we're moving into other things like green hydrogen and green ammonia, and just generally zero emission technology. But we've overseen and brought a huge number of large industrial users, not just in energy. And if you look at the DII alumni, you'll see everybody from banks and law firms and insurance companies and big oil players, renewable players, manufacturers are all part of this alumni. And what we wanted to do was, well, we've succeeded in building this network of networks, and DII, by the way, it's an invite only network. So we only invite companies in if they sort of meet the same long-term vision that we do, and then it's only for their C-suite level executives and up. So it's only for the real leaders. So discussing with Paul Van Son, we decided we could do something similar with Kaspa, because we both really liked the technology. And after I met with Shai in Dublin, and we were discussing some of the industrial use cases for Kaspa, we agreed that, well, it could be really a good idea to set up a foundation specifically for promoting the use of Kaspa in industry, and then to act as a market enabler for Kaspa, not just for energy, but starting with energy, because that's what we know, but we also know lots of other things. We know how to build shipping companies. We know how to build large pieces of infrastructure. We know how to build high tech electronics. So let's take the model that we developed in DII Desert Energy, apply it to KII, irrespective of industry, and then, as I say, act as a market enabler to allow the global adoption of Kaspa by industry generally, and we do that by doing a few things. One is to assist companies in understanding what Kaspa is and what it means for business. The second aspect is not just the educational part. It's actually offer practical assistance. So one is what we're actively setting up at the moment is we're convening a regulatory roundtable group of eminent experts from the EU, United States, and MENA region to discuss how can we make sure that what we're doing is regulatory compliant, so we don't end up with these sorts of situations with the SEC or with nonsense, spurious regulatory barriers. So to make sure that we overcome them, particularly if we look at stable coins and things like that. And what we also want to do is, because we have this deep regulatory knowledge, which comes from the energy industry and from the financial industry that's associated with it, we have all of these experts on tap, and we want to assist the Kaspa community, and we've done so already. So we've had some discussions with some really interesting projects that are coming out of Kaspa KFC20 projects, and we've already offered that. We've already given some advice and guidance on how to scale and how to deal with those regulatory aspects. And then the final part is, we want to practically assist projects. So we're working on establishing a Kaspa launchpad. And part of that launchpad is we'll take a Y Combinator type model. We have two VC funds that have already committed to financing it, and the ticket size is anywhere from 25,000 up to about $2 million worth of financial support. We're not quite ready to take in projects yet, because we're still a team of we're 10. We're now almost 12 people, and we're growing. We're growing pretty fast. But we want to take those in a Y Combinator style, but make sure that the projects that do launch from the KI-enabled launchpad, that they're fully KYC'd, that the teams are completely fully doxed, the projects are audited, and if necessary, the projects are also insured, so that we launch in a safe ecosystem. I suppose you could maybe describe it as like the iOS Apple system, where there's a little bit of a walled garden around the projects that we launch out of it, to ensure that we don't damage the image of the Kaspa community or the Kaspa ecosystem by having rug pulls or by having spurious or dangerous projects in the ecosystem. So our involvement is to push Kaspa into industries where we know that there's solutions. And then when it comes to things like, we're looking at how best to launch a stable coin, for example, on Kaspa, in the Kaspa ecosystem, that's fully regulatory compliant from day one. And we have some interesting initiatives around that. And then to further reinforce what we're doing, we're holding our first conference event in September in Dublin, called Kaspa and Enterprise. And the whole focus of that will be to reinforce why Kaspa, why we think it's good for enterprise, why we think it's scalable, why we think it's good for financial services, why we think it's good for logistics, why we think it's good for X, Y, and Z. And we really love what the guys have built. We think we can help do it, and that's just a little bit about our journey with Kaspa and KI. We also have a couple of other interesting projects, that would rival some of the things that Ripple are doing with XRP and Hedera are doing on the financial services side of things as well. So quite a few of the things we won't be talking about publicly, because or certain partnerships we won't be talking about publicly because of non-disclosure agreements and commercial sensitivities. But where the projects and the initiatives we can talk about, we certainly will, and we'll be shouting them from the rooftops. But this is the first actual public forum that we've actually spoken in. But some of the team will participate a little bit more as we're getting more settled into our new roles. So hopefully that gives a little bit of a background to what we're doing.
Yeah, so essentially you're trying to bridge enterprise and industry into the blockchain space. Can you expand a little bit more on why you think Kaspa's BlockDAG is the best network for that to happen?
Yeah, so suddenly my phone has just decided to go on speaker, so just give me a moment. Yeah, so We evaluated a lot of different blockchain projects over the years. And we created a highly comprehensive evaluation rubric. Um, and what it came down to in the end was the trilemma being solved. So the security, the efficiency, the energy efficiency for sure. That was a big one for us. Security was the second. Speed was the third, and then decentralization. We feel is very important, particularly for some of the applications we're interested in deploying and supporting. We're not a particular fan of proof of anything rather than proof of work, because of the general centralization effect.
Yeah, just one more question for Kaspa Kai. If you had to list out the five biggest enterprise applications or industrial applications that could be approved from some standpoint of efficiency in the blockchain space, what would those five applications be?
Energy for sure, supply chain, um, public sector, definitely, and cross-border payments, and settlement of contracts within the financial industry. So I spoke with the digital assets manager of a major financial institution about 2 weeks ago, and they manage between 20 and 40 billion, or sorry, 20 and 40 trillion worth of customer assets on an annual basis. And within their digital management team, they're currently doing 95% of the settlements on Ethereum. And I asked them just roughly what the volume of transactions would be, and then just from the gas fees alone, they would be saving tens of millions a year just by transferring over to Kaspa.
All right, so that's pretty much it from Kaspa Kai. He said a lot of things in there to really just show why Kaspa was the chosen cryptocurrency for them to try to advance crypto and have it integrate with enterprises in the real world. So it's really cool to see that we have these players that are already doing things outside of the crypto space and really have just been looking into the crypto space, trying to figure out what they can possibly use crypto for in their enterprises. And Kaspa Kai is going to be at the forefront of doing that. And it's really nice to hear them say that they don't care about anything else other than proof of work, because they believe that is the best type of consensus mechanism when you're comparing it to something like proof of stake. They also mention things in there like Ethereum and how an enterprise is already using Ethereum, and how if they were able to switch over to Kaspa, they'll be able to save millions of dollars in transaction fees. So Kaspa really has a bright future. It just all depends on if this adoption can actually come. But it is good to see that we have players that are actively working on making sure this adoption does come. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here. If you guys are interested in joining my private Discord and supporting this channel, you can look into my Patreon. My Patreon will get you access to a load of other things, such as seeing all these videos before they go out live to the public. You'll also be able to see exactly what I hold when it comes to my cryptocurrency and when it comes to my stocks. And then you'll also be able to talk to me basically 24/7 whenever I'm available within the Discord. You can go ahead and chat with me. We talk about loads of different topics within there, and there's other like-minded people like myself in there. So this is really just a great way to support the channel if you guys do enjoy what I do here, and offer you guys a little bit better way to get in contact with me. So thank you again so much for watching, and as always, don't be average, be different.